Also hoping that this pile doesn't just like collapse on me because it is wobbling very precariously. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we are doing a book haul video. This book haul isn't too bad actually, considering that this has been going on since November. Some of the earliest are from November up until the middle of February. However, this pile of books does not include the massive, generous load of gifts that I got for Christmas. I did do a full separate unboxing video for all of those, so if you're interested I will have that video linked below. So it doesn't include those, so let's just get straight into it, shall we? I hope you're all doing really well. Grab yourself a nice hot beverage and yeah, let's get into the book. Also hoping that this pile doesn't just like collapse on me because it is wobbling very precariously. But I wanted it for the thumbnail. We're gonna see. First up on the agenda, we have Ghosts from the Library. This is a short story collection. It is a murder mystery short story collection. It's Lost Tales of Terror and the Supernatural. And we've got a range of authors. We've got Agatha Christie, Daphne du Maurier, Arthur Conan Doyle. All three of those I've actually read from, as well as others that I have never read from, like John Dixon Carr, which is an author I've been wanting to read for ages. So this one, it's all about forgotten tales of the supernatural by some of the most acclaimed mystery authors of all time. Really excited for this one. This one was kindly gifted to me from Denise, so thank you so much. I love short story collections anyway, and this is one that I've had my eye on for absolutely ages, and I definitely want to try and get to it soon because I love the idea of this. Like, everything about this sounds perfect. I love a mystery collection, and adding in just a range of different authors, some that I've read from, some that I haven't. I think short story collections are a great way to see if you like an author's writing style, and then you can get more into that particular author and see what else other things they have written, which I really like. The next two books are part of the same series, and again they were gifts from Denise, and that is Jade War and Jade Legacy, books 2 and 3 in the Greenbone saga. Now, I read Jade City ages and ages ago now. It feels like ages and ages ago. I think maybe 2-3 years ago. Coming up 3 actually, and I have been meaning to continue on with the series. It's an urban fantasy where we're following almost like a mafia type thing. We've got these families that are against one another. They control things called jade, and jade is this substance that can give you enhanced abilities. I did like it. I know that this series is meant to be quite emotional. I do need to reread that first book when I go on to continue in this series. I think this is a series that I want to tackle next year because I've got a few fantasy series that I want to focus on this year, and then next year I will definitely be tackling this one. I may even tackle it before then, who knows, but this is definitely a series that I want to get my teeth into. I think it could be one that I end up getting really enamored with because of the characters, and it was very well done. The character work and the world building was very good in that first book. I just never continued with it, and to be fair, I started loads and loads of series and never continued with them, so I am making an active effort to actually continue, and Denise is helping me do that with giving me the books in the series, so thank you so much for that. You'll have to let me know if you've read the full series of the Greenbone saga and what you think, because I have heard only good things. I just need to like stop procrastinating on some of my bigger epic fantasy and just get straight into them. The next book was a gift from my sister, and this is a book I'm going to be reading around Christmas time, and that's An Unfortunate Christmas Murder by Hannah Hennedy. This is a book that my sister knows that around Christmas time I like to do a weekly reading vlog where I read Christmas murder mysteries, and so she gifted me this one ready for the next Christmas. This is from the Dinner Lady Detectives. It sounds really fun. Like, I love a good murder mystery in general, but also specifically a Christmas one. I really do enjoy the week leading up to Christmas where I'm reading the Christmas murder mysteries. It really gets me in the festive spirit. I don't know what that says about me, but I genuinely am excited. And this one, the mystery, it looks like we're following dinner ladies at Summerview Secondary School, recently promoted to kitchen manager. Marjorie is determined to stay out of the way of the Christmas concert planning that is gripped the rest of the staff. However, when the stage lights collapse at the first practice, killing the music teacher, Mrs. Lard, Marjorie and Clementine, the dinner ladies, are caught in the crossfire, and it looks like they're gonna have to try and solve it. It just sounds like it's gonna be a good fun time, so I'm looking forward to reading this one in December. Then we have a gift that my partner got for me, and that is Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Shauna Maguire. This is the newest book by Shauna Maguire. It's the 10th book in the Way with Children series, and I love this series so much. It is such a good series. It is a portal fantasy series, basically asking the question of what happens to these children when they go into the portal world and when they come back, and that I love. I really love it. Each book has its own little like topic of conversation that Shauna Maguire is conveying across in the story. They also do different things with the timeline, so the odd numbers kind of continue on with the timeline, and then the even numbers go back to different characters and their backstory. And this one is looking at a character that we met, oh, what book was it? I know we met them briefly in the 9th, maybe the 7th book. I want to reread the whole series because I am starting to get a bit vague on some of the details because it's been ages since I first read them. But this one we are following Nadia. I'm really excited to see her tale, and I can't wait. I do want to read this one and then I want to reread the whole series. It's not going to take long because they're tiny little novellas. It's something that I think I've read the first 2 twice, and then since then I've only been reading them as they're released, so it has been absolutely ages since I've read the whole series, and I think reading them in a shorter time frame would be really good. So that's definitely a project I want to give myself to actually do. Whether it's going to be this year or next year, I don't know. I feel like it should be next year, just because again I've got lots of reading plans, I've got my series plans that I want to do, but also at the same time I do love this series and it is a really good comfort series for me because I know the characters, it's got all the things I like, so it might end up happening sooner than I think. This is from Denise and it's A Curious Beginning by Dana Raybon, book 1 in the Veronica Speedwell series. This is a book I'd already read before it was gifted to me, but I had read it on Kindle and I really wanted a physical copy for my shelves. I then recently reread it for Get a Clue and I love this book so much. It is a historical murder mystery series. It's set in like Victorian London. We're following Veronica Speedwell and she is a lepidoporist, a butterfly scientist, and she in this first book is approached by this gentleman once her aunt has died saying, hey, your life's in danger, and she's like, calm down love, someone just took advantage of the funeral and ransacked the house, I'm fine. But he's very insistent and is like, come with me to London, and she's thinking to herself, well, I was planning to go to London anyway because I want to do a new trip searching for butterflies. So she's like, sure, you're going to save me the price of a train ticket? I'll come with you. She then gets left with this guy called Stoker with strict instructions to look after her, and the next thing they find out is that that gentleman that first approached her has been murdered, and it sets off a whole series of events. I love this book. I love the interactions between Veronica and Stoker. I love the series. This is really a very comforting series. I genuinely cannot sing its praises enough, and you have heard me speak about it recently if you've watched that vlog, but I love this series. I love everything about it. There are 9 books out so far, so I definitely need to get a wiggle on. I've read books 1, 2 and 3, so I need to get a wiggle on, continue on with this series. I love it. It is purely a comfort series. If I'm feeling low or I'm feeling a little bit slumpy or things like this, this is the series for me. So I love it. Then we have another gift from my partner. He lost a bet. That was great. But this one is Strange Beasts by Suzanne J. Morris. And this is a book I've been so excited about. Like genuinely, ever since I heard about it, I've been wanting to get my hands on this book. It sounds like everything I should love. We are in Paris and a monster is murdering powerful men and stopping it may be a woman's job. And we're following women who are linked to our Gothic classics. So things like Frankenstein and Dracula, and oh, so excited. So in this one, we are following Sam, who is the daughter of Dracula's killer and can see into the minds of monsters. It's a perilous power, one that could help her crack this case or have her thrown into an asylum. And then we have Dr. Helena Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes, who is Sam's reluctant partner, the society's finest agent who has forged a formidable path in her notorious father's shadow. I'm sorry, this is great. This has everything I know and love. Like, I know I'm gonna love this one because I have loved other books like The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss, which has a very similar premise. So I know I'm going to love this. I'm also going to be reading it very soon, but I will not be talking to you about it when I get around to reading this one. Instead, you're going to have to wait for July because this was recommended to me in a Battle of the Booktuber. Very excited. Whoever recommended me this one has done a good job. Hopefully it holds up to the expectations that I have for this book because they are ridiculously high, which could honestly cause this book to suffer immensely if that's the case, but it could really hit the expectations that I have for it, which let's hope for that one. Then we have another gift from Denise. This was part of the Christmas box that she was sent me, but this one was slightly delayed because it was a pre-order, and this is The Cat's-All Murder by Dolores Hitchens. Now this book has been out for ages, but it's recently been republished, and this I'm really excited about. It's actually Leandra who first brought this to my attention, which is no surprise because Leandra, as I have said many times, is the queen of mystery here on BookTube. If you're looking for anything golden age crime fiction, go to her. She is amazing, and this is a book that she brought to my attention, and this author kind of known as a staple of the cozy mystery genre, which is my favorite. That is my preferred. I have realized that recently about myself, that I much prefer cozy mysteries compared to your normal mysteries. Is a prototypical early cat mystery written before the subgenre became a staple of cozy mystery fiction. The Cat's-All Murder is an entertaining and endlessly surprising whodunit with a focus on felines. Just sounds so absolutely amazing. And it says here that the author Dolores Hitchens was a prolific mystery author who wrote under several pen names, recognized today as a pioneer of what would become to be known as the domestic suspense. Sounds amazing. Really looking forward to reading this one. Like, the idea of reading one of the fundamental cozy murder mystery books has me so freaking excited. And it has a black cat, and I have a black cat of my own, so, you know, favoritism there already. Genuinely very, very excited to read this one. I think it's going to be brilliant. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Plus, a lot of the mysteries that I've read are British mysteries, so it'd be really good to read an American mystery classic. As in, like, I've read a lot of British classic mysteries. I haven't read many American classic mysteries. Another gift that I got, again, apart from that Christmas selection from Denise that came a little bit later, is The Tao of Pooh, and this is by Benjamin Hopp. This is inspired by the works of A.A. Milne and E.H. Shepard, so the authors behind Winnie the Pooh, and I love Winnie the Pooh. Like, I grew up with it, absolutely adored it, and this is Taoism, and how does Winnie the Pooh embody Taoism? I find that absolutely fascinating. I think it's definitely a practice to be more mindful that I would like to learn more about and actually incorporate into my own lifestyle. I think would be lovely. This is a book recommendation that I picked up from another booktuber who says that they frequently reread it and always get something new from it, so I figured, you know, this would be really good, really nice to read, and it connecting to something that I used to adore in my childhood of Winnie the Pooh. So I'm really, really intrigued. I have high hopes for this. I think it will be a good one. It's actually one I feel like I want to read soon, just because I think I could get a lot from this, and a lot of, again, just healthy, mindful practices that would be really good to implement, is what I'm thinking. Going on a completely darker scale, I have another book. There are 2 more gifts from Denise in here, so thank you for that. We have The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Mulliner, and this is a book I've been really intrigued about for years. When it first came out, actually, when was this first published? Because I've had my eye on this one for a little while. 2022, so yes, it has been a few years, and this is one that I'm really intrigued by. It's all to do with a bone orchard. Literally, it says it there on the cover, but it's called Orchard House. We have different charges: shame, justice, desire, pride, and pain. And the wealthy and powerful flock to Orchard House to spend their time and money indulging in every excess and inclination, except for Charm, who is the head of it all, who belongs to the Emperor alone. And then the Emperor is dying. He thinks that he's been murdered by one of his sons, and tasks Charm to find out who did it to choose the next Emperor. Except Charm is also caught up in her own kind of revenge plot as well. I think this is going to be really good, really eerie and gothic, and I don't know, this had a lot of buzz when it first came out, and since then I've not really heard anyone talking about it, but something about this I think I'm really going to enjoy, and I do like this cover. Like, genuinely, the hand with all the flowers, oh, beautiful. I really, really like it. I think it's going to be a really good read. And then lastly, we have, well, in the gift part, another non-fiction book, this time focusing on the 5 untold lives of the women killed by Jack the Ripper, and this is by Hallie Rubenhold. This is a book that I've been interested in for years and years. Just never got around to reading. I mean, non-fiction's one of those things that I always want to read a bit more of, and yet for some reason I struggle to actually get myself to pick them up. But this one is one I think I will really like, because I mean, Jack the Ripper is massive, especially here in, I mean, anywhere, to be fair, a lot of people know, but growing up in the UK, hearing about Jack the Ripper constantly, there have been so many book adaptations, films, there are tours, like there's so much, and yet the focus is always on Jack the Ripper and not the 5 women that he murdered. And that, I think, is a bit of a crime in of itself, so I'm really excited to read a book that actually brings to life those 5 women and gives them a voice, and I think that will be really good to read. So yeah, definitely one that I want to get to. I just need to stop putting things off really and actually just read them, because I have loads. I have quite a good selection of non-fiction books that I think I'm really going to like, and I just need to actually delve into them and just pick them up. That's what I need to do. But okay, moving on to books that I purchased for myself. Let's do the one that I got with my points first, and that's Relight My Fire by C.K. McDonald. This is the 4th book in the Stranger Times series. I have since been told there's going to be a 5th one. So excited for it. I love this series. It's a series that I've actually spoken about so much here on YouTube that I've even got a few of you to read it, which I'm very excited about. But this is a paranormal mystery series that centers around a newspaper called Stranger Times. We have several main characters, but the first main character that we're following, she's going through this divorce with her douchebag ex, and she is looking for a job, and so she gets this job as an editor at the Stranger Times, and we then find out how much of a mess Stranger Times is, that maybe there's more to this newspaper than what we think. So the Stranger Times, the whole point of the newspaper is to report on all the weird and wonderful and ghostly alien things that are going on. But what if they're true? And I love it. Each one has a different paranormal mystery, but we have an overarching plot line, which is one of my favorite things in a mystery book. Like, it's something that some of my favorite mystery series do, is having an overarching plot line but an individual mystery in each one. I think it works so freaking well. Really excited to get around to reading this one. It is such a good series. It's got really good humor in it as well, and honestly, I'm just pleased that so many of you also enjoy this series and that you picked it up because of me, which honestly also goes to show how terrible I am at carrying on with series, because again, I started this series ages ago. I mean, yes, I like getting the books in paperback, so I've always got to wait a little bit longer for the paperback release, but even when I get my grubby hands on it, I still take ages to read it because I'm just dreadful at continuing on with series. But that will change. 2025, we're continuing a series, which actually February, we've been doing really well with that, so we just need that to continue. Then a random one I just picked up because I saw the cover, loved it, and then read the author's name and I was like, and you're coming home with me. So this is Ancient Sorceries by Algernon Blackwood. I really like Algernon Blackwood. They are a classic author, horror slash weird leaning works, mainly short stories, and this is another one of their short story collections, but this time to do with, again, kind of paranormal leaning mysteries. It is the case book of Dr. John Silence, physician extraordinaire. After long and severe training, 5 years, he was gone from the face of the earth, traveling who knows where. Silence returned to England as the greatest occult detective of the age, and these are some of his investigations. Love that. Oh my god, it sounds absolutely amazing. I'm really excited to get to this one. It was just sat in my little local bookshop, and this is not a collection I've ever seen before, so I'm really excited to give this one a try. Like, this combines things that I love. It combines mystery detectives, weird fiction, with some of the occult vibes. Like, that just sounds absolutely perfect, so I'm very excited to have spotted that. Then we have a book that I have read two times now. This is my favourite book ever. It is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I reread this one recently. I picked myself up this edition. This is, I think it's the 20th anniversary edition, mainly because the copy I had was just a thrifted copy, and I loved it so much. I knew I wanted my own new version of the book, and I really like this cover, so I decided to get it. It is well read. The spine has broken completely on this, but that's fine. I don't care about that because I love this book so much. I'm going to reread it so many times. This was not a copy to keep in a pristine condition. It was a copy to read and love, and I love this book so much. To give a very, very brief overview of what this book is about, it's about two magicians, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and them bringing magic back to England, and it's all taking place in the time of the Napoleonic Wars. It is fantastic. It's slow and dry in places, but it's wonderful. I love it so much, and yeah, it's amazing. I love this book so freaking much. It is popular for a reason. My favourite book of all time. Get into the slow end of the pile we have The Peculiar Garden of Harriet Hunt by Chelsea Iverson. This is a book I initially purchased to read as part of my cozy new releases vlog. However, as I started reading this one, it quickly became apparent that this is mismarketed. It's not cozy, it's gothic, which is not a bad thing. I actually really like the idea of that. It's just it doesn't fit in with the video I initially purchased it for. But this one, we're following Harriet Hunt, and she has this kind of like sentient garden that's kind of in tune with her emotions, which is where the cozy vibes were coming from. And even the books that were recommended to this, like how it was marketed and stuff, was all leaning towards cozy, but it's not. Instead, Harriet, she is kind of like Edwardian Victorian society, like with the way that women should not be living on their own. However, her father has disappeared and she's been kind of like struggling to keep things on her own. She's been staying living on her own because of the garden. She feels like it's her responsibility to look after it, that it doesn't do anything to people and things. But she is seen as a bit of an outcast, a little bit of a weird, strange lady. That's one thing I can say. That was repeated a lot. I feel like we didn't need that quite so much in the first bit of this book. I've heard some mixed reviews about this. Some of the Goodreads reviews, people seem to really like it, but then people that I know, like Danny and Leandra, really didn't like this book. I'm intrigued because we've kind of got the mystery of finding out where Harriet's father's gone, her dealing with people that are after debts and things that her father has left her with, but her not being able to work, and then of course the sentient garden and stuff. I think, to be fair, it has a lot of things that I should really like, so I am intrigued to continue on. I would probably reread what I've read and then continue on with it. So it was kind of like a soft DNF, but only because it didn't fit in with that particular video. Again, this is one you'll have to let me know if you've read and what you think of it. I am intrigued by it. It's not one I've heard loads about though. Again, I've heard from a couple friends, but otherwise I haven't heard anyone else really here on BookTube talking about it, so it'd be intrigued to see what you think. Then we have a book I picked up randomly, which is Fresh Water for Flowers by Valerie Perrin. This is one that had been recommended to me because I was after French books that have been translated from French that people think I would like, and this is one that kept coming up in the comments, so I decided to grab a copy. This one I don't really know what it's about. We're following Violet, who is a caretaker at a cemetery in a small town. Her daily life lived to the rhythms of the hilarious and touching confidences of random visitors and her colleagues. It's a story of clandestine love breaks through Violet's carefully constructed defences to reveal her own tragic loss. It sounds really nice and sweet, and yeah, I think it should be an interesting book to read. I don't really know what else to expect, but I do know that it has been very well received. Lots of people seem to really like it, so I'm gonna give it a try. And I really like this cover. Like, that is a beautiful cover. But yes, so that is one that I'm looking forward to trying at some point. Again, let me know if you've read that one. Then we have Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. This is a cozy witchy book, which I can't believe I haven't read, but I definitely want to read. I have a video idea that I would like to do later in the year that this would work perfectly for, so I want to make sure I'm reading it. This one is following sisters. We've got Gillian and Sally were forever outsiders in their small New England town, teased, taunted and shunned for the sense of magic that seemed to hang in the air around them. All Gillian and Sally ever wanted was to get away. Years later, tragedy brings the sisters back together, and they'll find no matter what else may happen, they'll always have each other. It sounds absolutely wonderful. I genuinely love witchy stories about sisters. It's been some of my favourite. I realised that last year when some of my top favourite books were exactly that. I have such high hopes for this book. I think it's going to be wonderful. Very much looking forward to reading this one. Then we have a book I've already read, and that is The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. This is the third book in the Dream Harbour series, and I really enjoyed this one. This is the only book I own out of the series, and it probably will be the only one I end up owning, just because, I mean, I'm quite happy to have them on Kindle. I wanted one book of the series for my shelves, and I decided to go with this one because I ended up reading it for the Relax and Readathon I read in December. Perfect timing. This was really just like fun. So the Dream Harbour series, if you don't know, it is cozy romance series with a tiny dash of magic, but I mean like the teeniest, tiniest bit. And this one we are following Kira and Bennett. Or Ben. Kira has just moved to Dream Harbour. She's very grumpy. She's taken over the Christmas Tree Farm. She isn't integrating well with the rest of the town. Ben is visiting his sister, who owns the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, is tasked with getting to know Kira, and also because there's like this mystery to do with the land there. And so sets off a grumpy sunshine romance that I really enjoyed. I thought it was fantastic. It was just so cute and wholesome, and it gave the perfect Christmas vibes, so it really worked for me. Another cozy witchy book is In the Company of Witches by Aurora Wallace. This is a book I've been really excited to read. It's meant to be, I think it's like a witchy mystery. So we've got this B&B, and a guest dies in the B&B, and we have Bryn Warren who wants to prove that they didn't have anything to do with it. It's witchy, it's a murder mystery, it's cozy, it's got all the buzzwords, so I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I know there are 2 books out, and I don't think the series got continued from then. Very intrigued to give this one a try. Then we have a book which, to be fair, did I need to buy a physical copy of? No, because I already had this on Kindle. However, I was in my local bookshop, and me and the bookseller were having a grand old conversation, and she recommended this to me, spoke about it so well that I was like, alright, sod it, I'll buy a physical copy as well, and that should hopefully make it so I read this book sooner. And that is A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. This is a kind of romantasy, royalty and guard love story. We're following Prince Cadu, who knows how terrifying it can be to have power and how dangerously easy it is to misuse it. So he does something, makes a whole mess. His sister, the Queen, is then furious. To regain her trust, Cadu offers to investigate a break-in at the most important guild, accompanied by his newest bodyguard. And I know it's a bit of a romance, and we also have this mystery going on. It sounds like, again, I'm going to absolutely adore this book. Hopefully, with not only having it on my Kindle and actually having it on my shelves, it will entice me to pick it up sooner rather than later, because I really do think I'm going to love this one, mainly because we were talking about Freya Mask, because I went to collect Swords Crossed by Freya Mask, which is a book I read and adored, and Freya Mask is one of my favourite authors now, and we were talking about Freya Mask, and the bookseller was like, oh my god, I haven't read this book by them, I've been reading their other series which starts with A Marvellous Light, and we got chatting about it, and they were saying to me, if you like that, I should read this. So of course I was like, okay, well, I'll buy it, and then remembered I had it on Kindle, and I'm just like, okay, but that's a good point, because I keep forgetting that I own it on Kindle. But we were talking about Freya Mask, and I love Freya Mask so much. This is their first book that they wrote, but the most recently published book, and you can tell that in the writing style. I think if you've read their other series, the Binding series that starts with A Marvellous Light, you can see where they've progressed as an author, but this I still really liked. This is like a historical fantasy romance, and it is so wonderful. We're following 2 main characters, Matanish J, who is the heir to his family's business, but their business is kind of struggling. They're in the wool business, and they've been in decline for a while now. Matanish, he takes on too much. He feels responsible for his whole family's happiness, and instead of going to his parents needing help with running the business and stuff, he's like, I can't burden them, I've got to do these things. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, they are the parents, they can help you. You also have other family members. You don't need to do everything and take it on yourself. To help save their family's business, he is having a marriage done, but in this world people can contest marriages by having a duel, and so he needs a sword fighter to represent him because he knows that somebody is going to go against this marriage, Luca, and Luca is our sword master who is going to represent Matanish. However, they get off on the wrong foot, but a whole romance ensues, and oh, I love it so much. It is so good, it's brilliant. If you haven't read Freya Mask, please give Wax a try. If you'd rather more mystery, a bit more intrigue in the plot and everything, then go with the other series, starting off with A Marvellous Light. If you're happier with just a cute, cozy, historical fantasy romance, give this one a try. Okay, then last few books, we have Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. I recently read the Atlas 6, adored it. Fell in love with it. Like, I don't know what it was about that book, but it started off and I was like, oh my god, this is really pretentious, I don't know if this is for me, and then I just fell in love with it. I just genuinely loved it. We're following 6 different characters, you get the perspectives from all of them, and they have been approached to be in this like academy, and after a year, only 5 of them will make it through to the next stage in the society. Love it. Absolutely love it. There's magic, you've got the dark academia feel to it. Oh, it is so good. Like, it's pretentious as hell, but I genuinely ate it up. As I was kind of finishing that book, I was like, I need the next book in the series. So I decided to purchase it for myself. 1, as a well done, I hit 5k, and 2, just because I loved the book, the first one, so much. and this was only £5, so decided to go for it. I'm very excited. Hopefully I get to read this soon. Another random one I picked up from my local bookshop is Girls by Annette Schnapp, and this is translated. This one is translated from Dutch by Laura Watkinson. This is a short story collection of different fairy tale folklores, but with a slight twist to it. It's actually meant for children. It's a middle grade book, but I think I would like this one. It was on their bookseller recommendations shelving that they have, and I really liked what they had written about it. And then when I started reading the first couple sentences, I was like, yeah, that sounds like a book that I can really get behind. Like, the writing seems good, and I do love a little short story collection, so I decided to pick it up. Then we have a book I DNF'd, which is The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Koresh, and this one, it was unfortunate because I had really high hopes for this book, and I do love the concept of this one. It's kind of like the Dream Harbour series, but make it with magical beasts, and in this one it's dragons. The problem that I had is that the dialogue between characters was really juvenile, and this is meant to be for adults. So the characters in here are meant to be in their 20s, and it just felt like, honestly, that they were talking as if they were teenagers rather than adults, and that is something I couldn't get behind. I think a lot of people will love this one. I think if you like books like The Phoenix Keeper, you will really enjoy this. Unfortunately, the same problem I had with Phoenix Keeper is not what it's trying to do or the concept of this book at all. It's just that juvenile dialogue that I couldn't get on with. Yeah, unfortunately it didn't quite work. It is a shame because I really had high hopes for this one, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And then the final book is a book I recently read as well, and that is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. This is the third and final book in the Emily Wilde series, and I love this book so much. Oh, I adore everything about this book, and the series in general is one of my favourite. I did a whole video reading this book for Relax and Readathon. This was also the Discord book club pick for the month, so if you do want any deeper thoughts and stuff, then I will send you over to that video. But essentially, Emily Wilde is a light academia fantasy series. Emily Wilde herself is a professor in Dryadology? Fairies. In fairies, and she in that first book is creating the world's first encyclopedia of fairies, and we meet her as she's trying to gather material and references and things for the last entry in her encyclopedia. There is a little bit of a romance that goes on that's in the background of everything. I just adore this series so much. It is so cozy and heartwarming, and it's amazing. And honestly, I have so much to thank this series for, because this is a series that really sparked off my journey of cozy books in all different subgenres, and honestly what gave my channel focus in being more of a cozy reader, in having my vlogs become more to do with cozy lifestyle and the cozy new releases vlogs and things like that. So I have so much to thank this series for in terms of what it's done for me, my channel, my reading tastes, and this was such a wonderful ending to the series. I think it really wrapped up really well. It tied in things from all the other books, the other two books, and it just worked so well. So I genuinely adore this with my whole heart. So that was brilliant, and honestly a really good book to end this video on. So thank you so much for making it this far. I am very impressed. You'll have to let me know, have you read any of these? What is the most recent book that you have acquired or got from your library or something? You'll have to let me know. For now though, I think we're going to put a snail in the emojis below. If you've made it this far and you just don't know what to comment, you can leave a little snail. I love being able to talk to you about all the different books and being excited about ones that I have read and loved already and ones that I'm going to be reading, and just honestly it makes me so excited to get reading straight away. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every single one of you that takes the time to watch these videos, whether you comment, interact, whether you're a Patreon member, in which case you get an extra special thank you. But genuinely thank you to everyone for taking the time to watch these videos. It means so much to me, so thank you so much. I'm going to leave it there. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those three things really help this channel out. My social media links, anyone I've mentioned, and my Patreon, where you can get exclusive videos, early access videos, a seasonal readathon, like all of that. It's all linked below if you're interested, and I will catch you in the very next video.